I got a loud voice. So real quick, just a quick couple notes. If you are planning on playing the Neon Temple CTF today, after the keynotes, meet in the room. There's going to be some instructions for some of the challenges that are a little bit unique. So if you want to get the full details and know how to play those challenges, meet us in the room after the keynotes, and John here will go and do a rundown of what you need to know. Sound good? Got it? Okay.
Sweet. Good morning, everybody. Will Santiago here, speaker liaison. I'm going to be introducing some fantastic speakers. Super excited to get into it with our first keynote speaker, Bryson. Before I do that, I'm going to play some hype music really fast, and we're going to get squared away. Don't tell my attorneys. All right, so can we get some noise going for Bryson? I'm going to really introduce him really quick. Bryson is the founder of Scythe, a startup building a next-generation threat emulation platform, and Grim, a cybersecurity consultancy. And actually, I got a secret. Grim might be a name that Bryson might go by. And co-founder of ICS Village, a nonprofit advancing awareness of industrial control system security. He's a senior fellow at the National Security Institute, adjunct senior technical advisor for Institute Security and Technology, and an advisor to the Army Cyber Institute. As a U.S. Army officer, he served as a battle captain and brigade engineer in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Before leaving the Army as a captain, he was recognized as one of the top 50 in cyber by Business Insider, security executive finalist by the year of SC Media, and a tech titan in Washington, D.C. With that being said, Bryson, we'd love to welcome you on stage.
Is this off? Yeah, there we go. No, this is not off. Wait, turn this off. The hacker conference, if we didn't have technical difficulties, we're not doing our job. Good morning, B-Sides Tampa. Felt it from this side. We need some work, okay? So this is take two. So for those of you who've seen me speak before, so you know that there's kind of two ways this goes, right? You work with me, or I make you work with me. And you're thinking that's bullshit because he's up on that stage. I'll come down. You're not safe. So good morning, B-Sides Tampa. I really like dad jokes, and you might have noticed the previous dad jokes left you feeling a little flat. Part of that is because it's the same thing as what the triangle said to the circle. It was pointless. But that's not my favorite dad joke. Caden, would you like to know what my favorite dad joke is? No, you're getting it anyway. You didn't follow the instructions at the beginning. I told you. Just press that red button. Hold it. Let this be a lesson. Caden. Oh, I already got one. What is a pirate's favorite letter?
I.
I?
I.
Okay, I haven't heard that one before. That's not bad. That's not bad. Coach Heath, since you have to talk, what is a pirate's favorite letter?
I know my favorite letter is Bryson, but a pirate's favorite letter is R.
Nay, 'tis the sea they love.
Oh, come on. Come on.
All right, one last joke before we do get this going, or lesson of wisdom. So you know my bit, right? I do the unicorn, and we're going to be doing from me to we. We have an aphorism in the U.S. Army that says, "No plan survives first contact." And the first is that, well, this is kind of warm, so I brought a summer unicorn. I promise there's content somewhere at some point. Let's go. So if you were they already did my introduction, but if you were wondering about why the unicorns with the beard, so during COVID, I did not cut my hair or cut my beard. If there was an Olympic sport in the world for growing hair, I'd be like gold or silver. That's me. That's Cyber Gandalf. That's actually me. That's my actual hair. Okay. So from me to we, the way of the unicorn. This is going to be something to speak to all of you, because we are in this together. First point, so we're going to go through some rules of the road. You don't have to be this tall to get on the ride. Who's a student? Theoretically, I'm assuming, you might change your mind after this keynote, which might also be the closing keynote apparently. You want to work in cybersecurity. Yes? Yeah. And it feels daunting, doesn't it? Like, who's going to hire me? Who's going to let me get that chance? So the first part about this is you're already doing the right thing by showing up here today. So give yourself a round of applause for that. Your task for today is to learn. Learning is playing the CTF, even though you don't know what that is and are scared of it. It is meeting somebody. It is asking for help. These Neon Temple clowns right here, seriously, they will help you. USF has its own cybersecurity group as well. Get involved, learn. There's two aspects to this. There's the technical competency, which is where we all start. How do I become the best individual contributor that I can be? Also known as, how can I be the smartest person in the room? We're going to talk about where that will get you in trouble, but for now, that's your goal. But here's the thing, it's not just the technical that makes it work. I mean, I haven't been replaced by artificial intelligence yet. Keynotes are still human. B-sides is still put on by people. Hiring managers are the ones that hire you. And yeah, is Monster.com still a thing? Okay. They're not a sponsor, right? That would be really awkward. You can do the cold resume, or you can do the, oh yeah, that's Jill, that's John, that's Jose. I know them. Once you're in, you're going to be spending a number of years becoming, like I said, the smartest person in the room, AKA an engineer, because we are the smartest people everywhere, are we not? And then we fork at some point, because there is a limitation to being an individual contributor. It's teamwork. Not how fast you can pull the oar, not being the fastest unicorn in the herd, it's being able to pull together as a team. And that first opportunity is going to get to be a team leader. How can I make this team more than the sum of its parts? And that's where the fork is going to happen. Do I continue down being more of a team leader on the technical side, or do I cross over to the dark side? Management. Now here, who's a hiring manager? Okay, keep your hands up, students. Just got laser pointed. This is my appeal to the hiring manager. You've all seen the statistics. What, we need like 3 kajillion people in cybersecurity. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I do know that this is one of the fastest growing fields in the entire world. And we need more people, period. The problem that you feel is we don't seem to need as many of the beginners. That onus is on the hiring manager. When we hire folks, we need to hire them with the scaffolding already there to support them. So this is where I push this to the hiring managers. Your part of the unicorn way is saying, I recognize I'm going to hire somebody that doesn't have the cert, doesn't have the education on the box. Basically, don't let human resources lead you around by the neck. Take control and say, I'm going to hire this person because I believe in them. I see that they can do it. And I'm going to invest the 3 to 6 months, the 12 months in getting them where we want to get them to be a part of the team. You saw them raise their hands. They agreed to it. Hey, there are 2 kinds of leadership in the world. This is important to understand because how often have we gotten frustrated that we don't get the budget, the resources, the attention from the business? All the time. All of the time. Thank you, Jorge Ortiz. See, I'm practicing my Floridian. What? 2 kinds of leadership. I just miss you, man. I got thrown off looking in your eyes again. And I was sorry, Coach East, there was one before you. There are a lot of unicorns on these shorts. So there's 2 kinds of leadership, right? Just think about in your daily life. You are professionals in this space. And you do not wake up other than with your job and think about cybersecurity for your daily life. You're like, how do I get out of bed? Am I getting out of bed on time? Where's the coffee? There's all of these other things that occupy it. And that is the challenge for society as a whole. We expect everybody to understand and take this as seriously as we do, because we're here and we care. We like the paycheck too, it's pretty good. But we're here because we care about what we're doing. Not everybody necessarily gets that. So my recommendation as you go out into the world is you're going to see 2 kinds of leaders in these companies. Those that care about security, those that don't. Another way to look at that, security, compliance. So for the compliance is not a nasty word. I was actually going to pivot to help here. Compliance is an existential requirement. We see you, you're beautiful. Without compliance, the business does not exist. But it's not security. A checkbox is not security. So this is where I was going to pivot to this before you helped me along there. I appreciate that. You get a high five too. You notice how I got permission as I went in for the hug, by the way? That's one of those important things, human resources. Yeah, there's 2 things in life that are going to really hurt as you get into the workforce, younger folks. One is HR. The second is, what is this compliance thing? Compliance is anything from the regulatory and legal frameworks that govern how your business works to somebody in the business is important enough to say, thou shalt. And it becomes a checkbox. And that's not a bad thing. Again, we want to be in compliance with the law. Yes? Really wasn't a trick question or rhetorical one. We want to be in compliance because that's what allows us to operate. Just don't conflate it with security, because security is the investment I make after I've done the checklist. Okay, you always have a vote. Who here is burned out? I would offer our industry has a higher level of burnout than average. Let's kind of peel back some general stereotypes of us. We are curious people. We really like things to be black and white because we're engineers. We don't like long pauses. That's where you mess with the introverts in the room. Which most of you are, right? Burnout is your responsibility to start with. You can't help others if you can't help yourself. Going back to the previous rule on there's two kinds of leadership. If you are beating your head against the wall trying to make something happen when leadership isn't given it, you're going to burn out. Don't. The second part. Who works in incident response? Your closest and easiest. Yeah, we're gonna do that physical bit. So what is incident response? I'm not sitting in your lap, don't worry. It's kind of like starting to move it along. I'm like, okay. So incident response. What is the feeling, and you probably are gonna start to feel it as I'm doing it, that you get in your chest and your stomach as the 3-day weekend approaches? Little pressure. Little pressure, why? Because it might.
There's a lot of off time that something can go wrong.
That's
when it can go wrong.
If you even get the off time. We have this pervading sense of existential dread. The anxiety of, I think we're doing security until 4:55 p.m. on Friday. Here's the thing. One, you're not alone. You all feel that. Has anybody solved security? Seeking attention only gets you budget.
Budget gets you security.
Budget gets you more.
Budget gets you sight.
All right. Security is not a measurable thing in a finite way. There are different aspects, kind of like that metaphor where we talk about people looking at different parts of the elephant, right? This feels like a tree. This feels like a hose. Nobody has solved security. Nobody. I joke there are no experts. There's just folks who have a lot of experience. They usually have white beards and lots of dark patches. And a drinking problem. Don't do that. Nobody has figured this out. So that dread that you have, you're not alone feeling it. And there's not much more that you can do about it. So like anything in life, accept it. And just sort of put it to the side. And when that 3-day weekend happens that you don't get, yeah, that sucks. But there's nothing else you could have done. Okay. We don't have to be perfect, right? Going into that existential dread. You don't have to get everything right. Has anyone heard that a defenders need to always be right and an attacker only needs to be right once? It's not true. You have more control than you realize. When an attacker gets into your network, and they will, they want it badly enough, what's the largest risk surface area in any organization? People! And how many of those technical solutions written by nerds, for nerds, solve that one? So you're over here scrambling to try to be perfect when there's just people in over here. Expect it. You don't have to be perfect. So when an attacker gets in, they are going to be on your assets. I mean, this isn't James Bond. They're not bringing their own super sophisticated thing to the table. When they talk, they're talking on your wires. Even more limited, they're talking on your wires with the protocols that you already use in your environment. What is the most common command and control protocol? HTTPS. Why? You don't stop it, probably most of your traffic, and it's encrypted. Did I have to roll my own encryption to do something super fancy? Nope. Thank you for the encryption and thank you for letting me blend right in. Hackers are lazy. Why do more work than you have to? We'll take what you've already got. So you don't have to be perfect, but start to realize you do have more control than you thought. Okay. Security, as we discussed, is a hard problem. Why would we turn anyone away from it? So the starting point is diversity. I really believe that the more diverse opinion you have of looking at a problem, the better that solution is going to be. We need people that think differently and challenge. Because groupthink is what's getting us here.
There's a talk about that at noon.
What's the name of the talk? Thank you, retired Colonel J.C. Vega. You think I planted these people? I did not, actually. I didn't even recognize them at first until I heard them. So the diversity of bringing those folks around the table is going to be where we push the imagination and make security better. But that's not enough. It's not enough. Inclusion is the key aspect. Bringing different folks around the table doesn't work if they don't feel safe to be able to contribute. If my opinion is constantly pushed down, I'm going to check out. Why would I bother? So, one, there are a lot of you, hiring managers in particular, but every single one of us can be an ally. Allies help create that safe space, right? The way of the unicorn is a herd. We need to feel that all together. We are all responsible for every one of us feeling safe and feeling like they can give something back. Management can be there to help set those things, but it is all of us that do that together. And when you see somebody that you know is being marginalized, that is your responsibility too, to help them, to reach out. And let me be honest, being an ally is not always easy. It takes courage to be able to step on behalf of somebody. It takes courage to reach out to somebody who looks different, who talks differently than you do, and trying to understand them so that you can help. And this has nothing to do with politics. This is what's best for us as a community because we need the help. And special shout out just because of the timing. Yesterday was the Trans Day of Visibility. So we see you and we love you too. One more click. Most users are not the problem. We have a challenge in this community where we are seen as a culture of no. Yeah? No. But yes, thank you, it's good. We are seen as blockers. We complain, why weren't we brought up to the front? Why weren't we included on the front? So the first recommendation I would have here is, if you're in management and leadership, is look into the idea of security champions. You don't have to do this alone in security. Go and get folks from other villages to be a part of what you are doing, naturally, organically. Don't try to force it. Second, if a user clicking on a bad link can bring your company to its knees, one, the user is just using the computer the way it was designed. Two, what is your security actually then? Users are not the problem. Most users are not the problem. These people exist. You know them. They don't necessarily need to have all of the privileges. There can be computers that we sort of let sit over here and they can just literally burn from all the malware that is causing that CPU to overclock. So what, right? Reduce the impact. Again, most users are not the problem. Okay. Who remembers Crown Sterling or has heard of Crown Sterling? See, I'm trainable. I'm getting better. Oh, you just like, yes, I remember it, but don't call on me. Okay. You pass this to Jorge. Nice Ferrari shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Too bad they suck. They did terrible today. So if I recall, it was Black Hat, and this company came with like innovative new way of solving security with like bunch of math that didn't actually add up, using very big words like AI and quantum and blah 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 blah. If I recall, that's what I remember.
That is a very accurate representation.
And I think there were sponsors and like actual people went and bought into it until
well, yeah, we don't need to go down that one, but yes. It's not the best day for the Black Hat conference. So Jake Williams and I got our hands on the original publication. We're going to try to find some museum to put this in. I don't know if the NSA Cryptologic Museum would be interested. So first thing here, using they snowballed us with all of these crazy big words. I've been doing this a long time, and I have learned when I don't understand something, it's usually not me. And this is hard when you're a student because you're like, oh my gosh, this sounds so sophisticated, and what's really going on? It's their fault. It's not your fault. I mean, it's your fault if you don't ask the question, like, well, like, what does that 5-syllable word mean? But after they come back with a 6-syllable word, you know it's their fault. The burden is on us as speakers, instructors, teachers, and leaders to make things into plain English. If we can't put it into plain English, we don't deserve it. And again, particularly for the students here who get all the noise, it's not your fault. There are Crown Sterlings throughout industry. So they're really a metaphor, although they did actually exist. The other thing we get all the time is sort of like from a student perspective, what tools should I learn? From an enterprise perspective, what tools should I buy? And I get asked this all the time with the consulting work I do. Well, Bryson, which of the EDRs should I get, or this or that? So starting with what tool to learn, pick something that matters to you. Click again. Or make one. Build a passion project. You learn to code. I'm not doing the coding as this is a gatekeeping, you must learn to code, but you're going to find yourselves a lot more power over time in your career if you know how to code. Follow the what language should I learn to code in? Whatever you want. Just pick something. It's more the idea, the thought, you putting passion into learning something, and eventually maybe you even get to the point where you share it with the community. And now you've got your own talk at B-Sides, right after the diversity talk with Colonel J.C. Vega.
I hate coding.
There are some of us who, like, I started in combat arms too with armor, but then I moved into, being able to breathe without thinking in the Signal Corps. JC, on the other hand, was aviation, so. Hey, JC, how can I tell if you're an aviator?
Smart and good looking. And they're humble.
The most humble. So talking to the enterprise is about buying. Look, it starts with trust. Do I trust this vendor? Because most salespeople are actually not trying to get one over on you. It's not that they don't exist. But your reality is going to be a little bit different than the really slick demo and PowerPoint you got. And the question is, will they be there when I need them? When I need to pick up the phone at 4:55 on Friday, will they be there? The second, and this goes back to the two kinds of leadership, and again, where you can bang your head on the wall, because how many of you have had a tool thrown at you? Right? Did you even have a say in it? Yep. This is why they advertise in those magazines in the back of first class in airplanes. Because your CISO is going to buy the tool. Now it's your problem. The missing piece here is that second part is after trust, what am I going to invest in to make this tool mine? 75% of tools bought today, a quarter of them are never installed, right? They're there next to the Windows NT disks that are sitting on top of the server room. A quarter of them are installed with default configuration. Hackers love that. Admin, hacker. And then another fourth of them are installed improperly. Maybe 25% of the tools we have in our organization work for us. And that's what you get to deal with. This is part of why the job is so hard and where we feel led by the tool rather than us getting to invest and drive it to make it ours. That is a commitment that needs to come up front. This is part of where we can get leadership that cares about security to understand, hey, the problem is not solved by going and buying the AI, ML, post-quantum exchange silver bullet. There are no silver bullets, right? Security is not solved. It's us investing to make it ours. That's what's going to solve this. That's what's going to give us the confidence. That's going to be where the tools work for us. That's going to be where we're not going to stop the 0 day that got them in, but we're going to reduce that dwell time for being able to detect them. And the ransomware doesn't get further than here. A lot of folks, so students, who wants to go into offense? Why do you want to go into offense? I'm not going to throw the mic at you. You're a nerd. You probably like, coordination. And I'm a nerd, so it'd probably go over there anyway. So cool tricks and gaining access, right? The summary is, it's cool. Offense is cool. Offense is the coolest. I mean, in our space, that's a relative thing. I mean, you go to a normal human being and they're just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna go to the sport ball game. I love that sport ball. Are they gonna score a touchdown in the third period? It's cool. We all think it's cool. It has this mystique. There are only a few of us who get to do it. So it's seen as like this elite thing. First, the rules of any organization anywhere on the planet, because it all comes down to money. There's a slight sigma about where the line starts, but the largest budget in any organization is for what the organization's purpose is. If I make cookies, it's for making cookies. Then some percentage of that is for information technology. I cannot scale a modern organization without IT. Now we're getting to security, one step over, and another fraction. So we start seeing these fractions. Security is just the basics of, can I have security operations? Offense is that little niche that comes here. I would assert there may be 5,000 organizations in the entire world that actually have offense capabilities. You ever want to know how to take a hacker down to size? Just tell them their quality assurance. Tell me I'm wrong. We've put the idea of this cool offense as the pinnacle. It's not the pinnacle. It's there to assure everything everybody else is doing. Being a cool hacker is not, have I figured out how to do vulnerability research? Have I figured out how to weaponize an exploit? Do I know how to get creds like red team operations? Those are all functions where if I cannot do that to support the business and communicate that, it has no meaning. It's not the pinnacle. It's what's there to assure the business on the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Did I get my CISSP credits? Of whatever the purpose of that business is. The fish tank. Oh, my Neon Temple folks left. So who knows the story of the fish tank in 2014? You really were in the Navy. Come on, the training is slow.
They hacked a device that managed the fish tank, and then they used that to get into the casino to hack the casino.
So Sheldon Adelson, who is a billionaire, in 2013, I believe it was, said some things that the Iranians got a little upset about. And the Iranian guard in 2014 was like, we're going to get him back. Now, as you can imagine, the Sands Hotel and Casino has pretty good security. As far as security goes, it's a hard target. Well, that hard target had a multi-million-dollar fish tank. It's very nice to look at, and I mean, I don't own any fish tanks, but I'm guessing a multi-million-dollar fish tank has very expensive fish that probably costs as much as a Ferrari. And since I'm spending that amount of money on my fish tank and my Ferrari fish, I probably want to make sure that they don't die. So I need to be checking the water in all of its different ways. And while I could probably have, the 18-year-old high school pool manager sitting there with the dipstick doing it nonstop, like at your local pool, probably better that I hire some professionals that can remotely monitor this. Right, this sounds a lot like what happened in Oldsmar in 2021. Huh. Wonder if, yeah, we'll get to that. So I'm able to remotely monitor this. Now, do you think the fish people, who I'm guessing are what, probably like 2 or 3 guys, are trained in cybersecurity? Nope. So the Iranians found them, came in through the remote monitoring system into the sensors in the fish tank. Now here's where it's Sands' fault, because it never occurred to them that perhaps those sensors should not be able to talk to the network. The estimate from this attack was about $40 million in recovery, with 3/4 of their servers and workstations going down through a fish tank. IoT. IoT is computing, cheap computing, as many places as we can put it, all interconnected. The S stands for security in IoT. I bring up this example because I have a number of examples, and I'm sure Bo has a number of examples from his experiences. You're talking later too, right? Right after me. Stay tuned for a better talk. Every environment, besides the most users comment, has some equivalent of the fish tank. Going back to why diversity and inclusion is so important, we need that imagination and that courage to being able to call out where we see fish tanks in our environment, because we have them. This is why supply chain risk has become such a big thing in the last few years, right? SolarWinds, Log4j, Kaseya. You all have like a litany of them, right? Or I mean, anybody who has Microsoft Office or Windows, you pretty much have that too. Why PowerShell is so much fun. You have fish tanks. It's going to take your creativity to understand where they are. And again, that's something we can only do together. So it can feel like we're in this alone. It's existential dread, again, that we feel at 4:55 on every Friday, or every day we have to go into work, or even when we're just at home and hoping we don't get the phone call. But you're not in this alone. We're in this together. And so covering managerial, human, and technical pieces of what I've learned from my career, I hope that that helps you get to the final rule of how to be a we in the unicorn way, which is being in this together. Because it doesn't matter if you work at a random company. The shadow internet has us all connected together. Your supply chain, which nobody knows how long their supply chain actually is. You know the first vendors that you have worked with. You know the software there. But that's why log4j, for example, was so confusing. We still, to this day, do not know everywhere log4j is in our environments. That's not for lack of trying. It's because that's how hard it is. And so whatever random company you work at, you're a part of this, and we're in this together. I co-founded a nonprofit with Tom Van Norman called the ICS Village. A number of you have probably seen us at DEF CON. We're also at RSA. We have our own conference, May 10th and 11th in McLean, Virginia, called Hack the Capitol. I picked that name 6 years ago before January 6th, so please don't bring that up. It is available virtually for free to join, but this is where this comes together, right? Critical infrastructure, you are all a part of critical infrastructure. You depend on this city. Your office, your house depends on the water and the electricity that allows you to do these things, right? The 16 different sectors of critical infrastructure are what underpins modern life. The second we lose some of them, we go to the Stone Age instantaneously. I mean, how long, just look at your teenagers when you take away a phone from them. You're the same way when we take away electricity and water. This is more than just a city. This is more than just a country. This is us as humanity all together in this basket. So while we wear the flag, the United States, proudly, this is a problem that's bigger than us and bigger than the Five Eyes. This is us as humanity all depending on how we can solve some of these things together. Because while we have bad actors that are out there, Russia, Iran, China, Korea, North Korea, right? I can tell you the motives of each one of them, right? Russia, prior to Ukraine, was trying to establish relevance on the global stage. And the best way to do that was to be a forcing factor, and they need ransomware to establish hard currency for operations. China, in our lifetime, I believe China is going to overtake us as the key hegemony in this world. Iran is a regional player, and as we've seen, likes to fight back. And then North Korea, dear leader, cannot buy Ferraris and expensive whiskey with whatever their currency is. Hence, all of the, in fact, Mandiant, that was what they just came out with, and I've been saying this for years, not that I knew something more than Mandiant, because those guys are brilliant, but that a lot of their actions were generating, again, hard currency, not for as much covert as what we were seeing with the Russians, but again, dear leader needs Western goods. That the only way you can do that is with Western currency. So, but the civilians in those spaces are kept hostage by those systems. And that is where we share our heart and our space with them. So, at the end of the day, we're all on this blue marble together. And the more ways that we can find to work with this together, from the individual contributor level to the managerial level, to industry, to communities like this, and broader, is my challenge to you.